Hello, today we have Patrick Horsman, the Chief Investment Officer of BNB Plus Corp, trading on the Nasdaq under the ticker BNBX. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
You recently rebranded as BNB Plus, evolving from your legacy biotech roots into a diversified fintech platform. What can you tell us about this transformation and what does it mean for investors?
So the rebrand is really to describe the goal of the company, which is to provide investors exposure to the BNB token plus additional yield. Also exposure to the Binance ecosystem and BNB in an easy to own format. And the yield strategy really provides investors the additional benefit of over time with BNB Plus, they'll own more tokens through the yield strategy and the compounding than if they just held the token themselves.
Patrick, you've been very deliberate about positioning BNB as a foundational strategic asset. What makes BNB particularly compelling versus other digital assets from a long-term and institutional perspective?
So US investors may not be as familiar with Binance and BNB as it's an Asian based exchange, but basically BNB, the token, is the fourth largest blockchain in the world behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, about 130 billion market cap. Binance is the largest global crypto exchange. It's the behemoth. It's 7 times larger than Coinbase. They do 40% of global daily trading volume, have 300 million users. BNB has some very interesting tokenomics, which we can get into later. And BNB provides a couple claims on Binance's earnings, which we can also get into later.
Now, BNB Plus has built a sizable BNB position through direct holdings and trust units. How do you make the BNB productive and provide a return for investors?
So that's really the reason we chose BNB, because it is a productive asset and we can generate yield for investors and compound that into more BNB tokens. Native staking is the first way we do that. You stake your tokens to secure the network, and that's about a 2% annualized yield. Not super interesting, but it's a good return. The second component of our yield strategy is what's called Binance Launch Pool. You need a Binance account to run this, which is not easy for US investors to get. And the launch pool essentially is Binance, every time they list a new token, they charge a listing fee. And rather than putting that in their pocket, they airdrop that listing fee as free tokens to the BNB holders. So we did a 3-year look back of that, all the different airdrops, and it looks like about 18 to 14%, 8 to 14% annualized. The third strategy is providing liquidity on decentralized exchanges in the BNB ecosystem. The largest one is called PancakeSwap, and we can provide liquidity there and earn kind of a 7 to 9% annualized yield without taking any directional risk on our BNB. And the final strategy is to collateralize the BNB opportunistically when there's market demand, borrow stable coins, and engage in low risk DeFi activities.
Transparency has been a major theme for you. What was the strategic rationale behind launching the real time Treasury dashboard BNBX.io, and how does it change the investor experience?
So we think transparency is paramount. Some of the other digital asset treasury companies have been kind of hiding the ball from investors, and it's difficult to understand how many tokens they own, et cetera. So we built in-house what we think is one of the best dashboards in the industry. Provides a ton of information on the company, full cap table, how much BNB we own, when we bought it, what the price was, what the MNAV is of the company, all metrics that investors need to know to understand the company. And that's updated in real time every 6 seconds. And again, BNBX.io to find out all that information.
Now, alongside the digital asset treasury, BNB Plus also operates a revenue generating life sciences business through your Linea RX subsidiary that recently announced a record $1.2 million accelerated order from a global diagnostics customer. What is Linea RX, Patrick, and why is it strategically important to the overall BNB Plus reinvestment thesis?
LinearX is our operating subsidiary. It's a business that manufactures DNA and mRNA for vaccines, therapeutic use, veterinary use, et cetera. We've got a very large IP base. The company has been around for 25 years. We're one of the largest scale DNA and mRNA manufacturers using GMP facilities. And when we came in October, we helped to stabilize that business. We reduced employee headcount, went key customers secured some large orders, and we're now operating that subsidiary at break even to slightly profitable, which is a big change from the history of the company.
Where are we in the digital asset cycle, and what key drivers do you see playing out this year?
So I think crypto and digital assets have become increasingly more correlated, macro wise and with the global economy. And in particular, liquidity is really the king driving crypto markets and other markets. And I think over the last kind of 4 to 6 months, we've seen a bit of a contraction in liquidity, in particular with the yen carry trade unwinding. So investors have been selling risk assets globally, not just crypto, to pay back their yen loans, which have been the cheapest place to borrow. We've also got a new crypto market structure bill going through the Congress and the Senate right now, and that's an important piece. So I think a combination of some liquidity coming back into the market, us getting some more regulatory certainty in the U.S. Will help push the digital asset markets forward in 26.
2026 has just begun. Let's look to the end of 2026, maybe even into 2027. What are some key execution milestones that investors should be watching that would signal that BNB Plus is delivering on its strategy?
We've been building out all of our yield infrastructure, opening our Binance accounts, getting our offshore trading set up to start delivering investors yield. And I think since that's really the mission of the company is to provide BNB long exposure plus additional yield, us delivering consistent monthly yield to investors, which we'll be reporting on our dashboard, is a key one. And then we'd like to continue to grow the company in the balance sheet. So looking for creative and opportunistic growth when available, and then surviving in the difficult periods is the plan for the business.
Final question, Patrick. What is the essential value proposition? Why should investors take an interest in BNB Plus right now?
So as I'd mentioned earlier, investors should own BNB Plus if they want to get exposure to the BNB token and the Binance ecosystem. Binance, we believe, is the best business in crypto. They're unlikely to ever go public, so this is one of the few ways you can get exposure to the Binance ecosystem. And there's a couple claims on the earnings of Binance. I mentioned the Binance launch pool through the airdrops. The other is the tokenomics of BNB. BNB holders actually benefit from Binance's earnings power because every quarter Binance buys back the token and burns it. So those have been over $1 billion a quarter recently, and you end up owning more of the network. So we provide the best way to do that, the easiest way to do that for investors to get exposure to BNB plus the additional yield. And we believe over time with us, investors will end up owning more tokens than if they own the token directly.
Patrick, thanks for being with us.
Great. Appreciate it.